Hi, welcome to this new series of tutorials. I am Hemant Sharma and today I am going to show you how to build a nice little Flash game called Balloon Shooter. This will be a beginner tutorial with simple steps towards building a really simple game. The objective is basically to get you introduced to how easy game development can be. If you haven't built any games before, this is the right tutorial for you. Now this tutorial will be a series of 4 videos and we will cover the following topics as we progress through each episode. In the first video, we will talk about how the ActionScript game library is set up and how the game world is created so we can start adding the game elements. In the second video, we start creating different elements of the game such as hero, balloons, bullets and more. In the third video, we'll write the logic to detect collision between different objects on the screen and code the interactivity accordingly. We'll also add animation to show the balloons popping. In the fourth and the final video, we'll add scores and sounds to the game. Let's take a look at the final result of this tutorial first, so you get an idea of what we'll be building. As you can see, our game screen contains a character hero on the left side of the screen, which moves up and down based on the Y position of the mouse. There are different types of balloons that appear from the bottom right of the screen and fly upwards. I have created 2 kinds of balloons. One is green and the other is black or bomb balloons. The green balloons provide 10 points if you pop them, and the black balloons provide -5 points. The objective is to pop as many green balloons as possible to gain more and more positive points. If you click anywhere on the screen, the hero starts shooting bullets. The bullets then collide with the balloons and pop them out. If you also observe, I have added sounds to almost every aspect of the game. There is a background music, a shoot sound, a pop sound, and also a buzzer sound if you pop a black balloon. I will now stop talking for like 10 seconds so you can hear the sounds out. Okay, I think this is a fair goal to set and we are going to try and achieve this by the end of this series. We'll build this game in ActionScript 3. We'll use Adobe Flash Builder 4.5 as the IDE and we'll use a third-party 2D ActionScript game library called FlashPunk. Before we begin, I want to talk a little bit about FlashPunk. FlashPunk is a powerful gaming library that provides us with most of the groundwork for building wonderful games. It is written in ActionScript 3 and provides us with things like loading and controlling animations, game sprites and sprite sheets, game sounds, collision detection, defining game elements with custom properties, and things like getting to know how many objects of a specific kind are on the screen at any given time, and many more such things. Some of these and many other such features are most important and handy while building games. FlashPunk also uses a technique called Bitmap Blitting to render the graphics on the screen. Now let us try to understand the basic concept of how Bitmap Blitting works. Generally, we tend to write code to display different graphic elements on the screen, and their visuals are stored and handled individually in the memory. This could prove to be complex and become a performance overhead when we have many graphic objects and effects, at least for some types of games. So to improve the performance in such cases, there is a very common way of rendering the game graphics called Bitmap Blitting. Blitting is basically drawing one canvas again and again with modified set of pixels. If you want many different objects rendered, you basically draw and redraw the final output of these objects as needed into one single bitmap canvas on the screen. This assures that at any given point in time, there is only one bitmap object existing in our game, and this would be a great reason for faster and greater performance of our games. The good thing is, FlashPunk has all the logic already built in to accomplish bitmap blitting. So, using FlashPunk library APIs, whatever we add to the display list is automatically blit. This makes our life way easier while writing great games. Let us now start the development process of our game by setting up the environment. Now before we start coding, you will need to download the FlashPunk library. So visit flashpunk.net and go to the download section. You should be able to access one of these links and go to the GitHub repository. Download the master branch as a zip file and keep it ready. We're going to use that in a minute. Now, since I'm using Flash Builder to code the game, I would recommend you go to adobe.com and download the latest trial version of Flash Builder if you don't already have. I've also provided a zip file with all the graphic and sound assets that are used to build this game. I just created these graphic assets in Adobe Illustrator and exported them into individual PNG files. Also, feel free to use these graphics in whatever projects you might want to. Okay, the first thing we need to do is extract the FlashPunk gaming library that we downloaded from GitHub. I'll do that right in my desktop. You can already see all the packages and class files relating to FlashPunk library. I'll open the Flash Builder now and create a new ActionScript project. Give my project a name, Balloon Shooter. Now I'm going to choose desktop. If you want to compile for the web, you can go ahead and choose web as well. The rest of the tutorial holds good for both of these options. I'll click on next. Now this is the screen where I'll need to tell my project that there is a library called FlashPunk which resides in a particular folder. I'll need to do that in the source path tab. I'll click on add folder, browse, and browse to the folder which just got extracted, and make sure you don't point any of the subfolders here. Point to the root folder and click on open. Click OK. You should see the FlashPunk folder here. I'll click on finish. Now Flash Builder creates a new project. It links the FlashPunk library folder that I specified, and it creates a main class, Balloon Shooter, extended from flash.display.sprite. Now, the first thing you need to understand while building a FlashPunk game is that your game doesn't extend from flash.display.sprite. Instead, it should extend from net.flashpunk.engine. I'll go ahead and import net.flashpunk.engine class. I'll extend my main class from engine as well. Once I'm done with this, let me set the metadata of the SWIF right above my class definition. SWIF, add a frame rate, 60. I'll give a width of around 620. Height of 380. The constructor of the engine class needs to accept a couple of parameters. So let's call super and pass 620 as the width, 380 as the height, and I'll not specify any frame rate because by default it is 60 and that's what I want. And also I'm happy with the frame rate being not fixed, so I can vary it whenever I want. I'll save the project and run this. As you can see, there is a blank screen, but by default the background color is gray. Let us try and change the gray color to white. So in the process of doing this, let me introduce you to a new class which is very handy and critical for any FlashPunk game called FP. Let me import the class. We'll change the background color of our game through the properties of this class. Now this has a lot of static properties. The first thing I'll access is fp.screen. Screen has a lot of properties, and I'll access color and I'll make that 0xFFFFFF. Now since I've specified white color as the background, if I save and run, you should see a blank canvas, of course with white background. Now we have just initialized the FlashPunk engine with the stage dimensions, a frame rate, and a color. The next thing we need to do is create a new game world. Now what is a world? In FlashPunk terms, any screen you see in a game is a world. A splash screen is a world, a main menu is a world, a level select screen is a world, the game itself is a different world, and so on. So in our current game, since we don't have any main menu or splash screen or anything like that, we are directly going to jump into the game world or the game screen. So I'll go to file, create a new class and call that game world. I'll put that in the package worlds, and every world in FlashPunk game has to extend from net.flashpunk.world class. Let me finish. Now I have my new world class here. I'm going to use this game world class in my main class. The first thing I need to do is specify to the FlashPunk engine that there is a world called game world, and that's what you need to start loading in the beginning of the game. Now there is a function called init in the engine class which we need to override. Override public function init. Inside the init function, I'll need to specify fp dot world. That means the first world, the initial world of my FlashPunk game would be a new instance of game world that I just created. Let me save this. Now, as soon as the game is loaded, the first world that the user is going to see would be the game world. If you compile and run this, you still should not see anything in your game because you have not added any elements to the game world. Now that's the next thing we are going to start doing, and we'll do that in the game world class. I think we'll stop it at that for this video, and we'll continue with this development in the next video or the next episode of this series. So see you next time.